Let's talk about time. What if you could turn the clock itself into your company's greatest strategic asset? Today, we're diving into the 24-hour workflow, a concept that completely rethinks what a workday can be. So let's just start with a really powerful question. What if your work didn't stop when you did? I mean, seriously, imagine this. You shut down your laptop for the day, and when you open it the next morning, a whole bunch of critical accounting tasks are already done. That's the promise we're going to explore. Because let's be honest, for so many people in the accounting world, this is the day-to-day reality, a relentless, never-ending race against the clock. You've got month-end closes, tax filings, urgent client requests. It's a cycle that just never seems to stop. Deadlines are always just around the corner. But what if the answer wasn't to work longer hours, but to work smarter by using the globe itself? Well, that is the core idea behind what we call the 24-hour advantage.
This whole thing is made possible by a concept called the follow the sun workflow, and it's actually a beautifully simple idea. Work gets passed from one team to another across different time zones, creating the seamless 24-hour cycle of productivity. One team's sunset literally becomes another team's sunrise.
And here is the absolute key benefit, the magic part. This model lets firms effectively extend their workday without requiring overtime. Just think about that for a second. No burnout, no extra hours for your local team, just continuous, smooth progress. Okay, so how does this actually work in practice? It sounds great, but let's break down the mechanics. It's probably a lot more straightforward than you'd imagine. It all comes down to a seamless handoff, kind of like a relay race. First, the US team finishes their day and passes the baton, the tasks. Second, while the US office is sleeping, the team in India is running their leg of the race. And then third, when the US team logs back on, the completed work is waiting. It's just a simple, continuous, productive loop. And this number right here, this is the secret sauce. That 9.5 to 12.5 hour time difference between the US and India, that's not a bug, it's a feature. It's the perfect gap to create a full, productive workday that bridges the time your office is closed. So that's the theory. But what about in practice? Let's look at the real-world, tangible results when this model actually gets put to work. Let's take fund accounting, for instance. It's an industry with these intense daily demands for super timely, super accurate reporting. Things like net asset value calculations and investor statements. For fund managers, this is a total game changer. Critical operations just happen overnight. Net asset value calculations are processed, investor statements are prepped and ready to go first thing in the morning, and any errors can be spotted and fixed way faster. It keeps them way ahead of the curve. The impact is just as powerful for US CPA firms, where, as we all know, client service and being responsive are everything. The really crucial thing here is the shift in focus. With returns and reports being prepped overnight, the turnaround time for clients shrinks a lot. And that doesn't just lead to happier clients. It frees up your domestic team to focus less on the tedious processing and more on high-value strategic advice. And, we have to talk about the biggest stress test for any accounting firm out there, tax season. This model basically transforms tax season from a chaotic scramble into a manageable, predictable workflow. That huge volume of returns gets handled overnight, so your team arrives each morning to a queue of review-ready work. The seasonal peak doesn't just disappear, but the pressure? Oh yeah, that absolutely does. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Whenever this topic comes up, a few practical questions always follow, so let's just get ahead of them and address the most common ones right now. First up, the big one for team morale. Does this mean my US staff is going to have to start working late nights or getting up at the crack of dawn to coordinate? And the answer is a very clear no. The entire system is built around this idea of a seamless handoff at the end of a normal workday. It's designed to protect, not disrupt, your team's work-life balance. Okay, next up is a really critical question about expertise and compliance. How can we be sure an offshore team understands all the complexities of US regulations? Absolutely. Professional outsourcing firms make sure their teams are rigorously trained to comply not just with IRS rules, but also state-level and even industry-specific requirements. This isn't just about moving work. It's about moving work to trained specialists. What about scalability? Is this a strategy only for the big players, or can smaller firms benefit from this too? Oh, it's definitely for firms of all sizes. In fact, for smaller firms, the benefit can be even greater. It lets you extend your capacity and speed up your workflow like crazy, all without the huge overhead cost of hiring more full-time domestic staff. So when you put it all together, it really comes down to a fundamental shift in strategy. It's that classic mantra of working smarter, not harder, but, applied on a global scale. So let's just quickly summarize the strategic wins here. You get 24/7 progress, which makes deadlines way easier to manage. You increase your team's bandwidth, freeing them up for that high-value strategic work. And it all leads to faster turnarounds and happier clients. It's a powerful chain reaction where each benefit just builds on the last. And that leaves us with one final thought. In a global, 24-hour world where business never really stops, the real question is, can you afford to work only 8?